Hi friends, it's Amy. Welcome to my channel. Today I have a used book sale book haul for you. Now, I'm so excited for this, you guys. It is a huge sale that didn't happen last year because COVID, and now it got to happen this year. So let's get to it. Okay, so this book sale is run by the AAUW, which is the American Association of University Women. And there are chapters all over the place. The local chapter puts on a book sale yearly. And it spans over multiple weekends. So the first weekend, the books are priced one way, and then the last weekend books are priced it's a bag sale, so you pay $5 for a bag and then you just fill it and you get to go with all of your treasures. It's great. It's so much fun, and I was very excited to go this year. So let's talk about what I got. I did get 3 cookbooks. Okay. I got Betty Crocker Quick and Easy. I just 30 minutes or less dinners. I am a fan of easy. It's just me. So as easy as I can be for dinner, it's great. And when I flipped through it, a lot of the recipes looked fairly healthy, and I'm really trying to get a little bit healthier and make better choices with my eating. So I thought it would be a good one at least to look through. This next one, I actually had at one point and then I got rid of it, and I think about it all the time and wish that I could go through it again. So I was like, okay, I can pay $1 for that. So that that is Deceptively Delicious by Jessica Seinfeld. And this is all kinds of ways to have really, really, really tasty food that has a lot of nutrients packed into it. So I am a fan. And I made some recipes from it before, and they all turned out really great. And then I don't know why I decided to get rid of it, but I did. And I just felt like I wanted it again. So I picked it up. And then the third cookbook that I got was Hungry Girl. Anytime I find a Hungry Girl, I pick it up. I love her recipes. Lillian is they're so simple. It's so easy to find things that are fairly healthy and still not compromising in taste. So I love looking through her cookbooks. So when I found 200 under 200 for a really nice price, it was definitely one I wanted to pick up. So I did. All right, so those are the cookbooks that I got. Some books for my classroom. I picked up The Last Dragon by Silvana Damari. And this says, in a world shrouded in darkness and continually lashed by rain, a young elf named Yorsh is suddenly left orphaned and alone, but soon the elf discovers he is part of a powerful prophecy to save the world from the dark age that has begun. First, however, Yorsh will have to find another orphaned creature, the Earth's last dragon. Together, they must fight for the troubled Earth's redemption and bring it back into the light. I just thought that sounded so cute. This is a Newbery Honor book, so I decided I needed to pick it up. I don't know a whole lot about it, but it's called The King's Fifth by Scott O'Dell. I love Scott O'Dell's work. It says, in the time of the conquistadors on trial for murder, a young mapmaker is the last one alive who knows where the gold is hidden, and the king demands his share. The next one is Out of Sight, Out of Time by Alli Carter. This is part of the Gallagher Girls Spy School series. It's a fun series if you've ever heard of it. If you've never heard about it, it is about the Gallagher School for Girl Spies, and it's just really fun. The very first one is I'd Tell You I Love You, but then I'd have to kill you. So all of the titles are just sassy and great. I love it. So there's that. Next, I found another Gordon Korman, which if you saw my September haul, Gordon Korman is usually a win with my students. So this can't be happening at Macdonald Hall. I think this is his very, very first book, but I could be wrong. So I saw it, found it, and thought I would pick it up. This was purchased at Half Price Books for $2.99. I got it for less, so it's okay. Bruno and Boots are the most infamous troublemakers at Macdonald Hall, which is a supposedly prestigious school for boys. Together, they've snuck out after lights out, swapped flags, kidnapped mascots, and they've never gotten caught until now. Their headmaster, aka the Fish, decides it would be best to separate them. Bruno must now room with the ghoulish Elmer Drimsdale, plus his plants, goldfish, and ants. And Boots is stuck with nerdy, preppy, paranoid George Wexford Smith III, with his stocks and fear of germs. Of course, this means war, because Bruno and Boots are determined to get their old room back, no matter what it takes, and school will never be the same. And that sounds fun. I at this moment have at least a couple students in mind that I can hand this to that I think they will love. This is a replacement, Spy School by Stuart Gibbs. This is the first in the Spy School series. This series is a huge hit with my students, and the very first book in the series has definitely seen better days. I don't know that I can get rid of it because I think having 2 copies in my classroom is going to be a good idea. But this is, again, spies. Okay. This is about Ben Ripley, who is recruited to the Spy School of America, and he doesn't really understand why he was chosen to be in the spy school, but he's thrusted right away into craziness right away with the first book. So Agent Ben Ripley, age 12, mission: survive the science school that is really a front for training junior CIA operatives and try to get the girl. Objectives: find the devious double agent who has infiltrated the school. 2, try not to die. 3, prove to everyone that you are capable of being a spy. Save the day and try not to look like such a nerd while doing it. Destroy the snow once you've memorized it. I love this series. It is one of my favorite series, middle grade series. I just love it so much. And a lot of my students love it as well. And this is such a nice copy. I thought I should pick it up because it'll be needed. The next book was an author by, this is Granny Torrelli, Make Soup by Sharon Creech. If you've seen any of my videos before, I will pick up any Sharon Creech I find. I just love her writing. Walk Two Moons was wonderful. One Time. Love that dog. Hate that cat. So good. I am a forever fan of this author. So this is about 12-year-old Rosie and her best friend Bailey, who don't always seem to get along. But Granny Torrelli seemed to know just how to make things right again with her interesting stories and family recipes. It's easier to remember what's important about love, life, and friendship while Granny Torrelli makes soup. So the next book is Family Ties by Gary Paulsen. This is in the series that has Liar Liar, Flat Broke, Crush, and Vote. Liar Liar is the first one. I haven't read this series, but I pick up, again, any Gary Paulsen that I can find. Sadly, he recently just passed away. But any Gary Paulsen I find, I'm going to grab, especially when it's in such great condition and hardcover. Yeah. I think I have Liar Liar, and I think that's the only one that I have. So I'm going to have to look for Vote, Crush, and Flat Broke at some point. The next book I picked up because it has the Newbery Medal on it. This is A Single Shard by Linda Sue Park. I am currently reading A Long Walk to Water by Linda Sue Park with my students, and I mean, this is the Newbery, so let's see. Tree ear was so called after the mushroom that grew on tree trunks without benefit of parent seed, a good name for an orphan, Crane Man said. Foraging in fields and on rubbish heaps and sharing the food with his friend, Crane Man, used to be enough to fill Tree Ear's days. But now all Tree Ear wants to do is watch Master Potter Min at work. Chulepo is a potter's village, famous for delicate celadon ware, and Min is the most brilliant of all the potters in Chulepo. He is also known to be short-tempered. Even so, Tree Ear is drawn irresistibly to Min's workplace. He is fascinated by the miracle of the potter's craft and dreams of making a pot of his own someday. His quest leads him down unexpected paths with hazards and rewards beyond imagining. This account of creative spirit on its journey towards fulfillment is set in 12th century Korea, where the course of a human destiny could be determined by a single celadon shard. I have a nice set of Freak the Mighty in my classroom, but I only have 6 copies. So when I saw more copies of Freak the Mighty by Robin Philbrick, I picked them up to add to my group set. Freak the Mighty is about Max and Kevin, who are basically known as Freak and Mighty, and together they become Freak the Mighty. They are an unlikely pair of best friends that will absolutely steal your heart and totally steal the heart of all my students as well. It's a really fun book, full of adventure and just hijinks. It's so good. So getting more copies of Freak the Mighty seemed like a good idea to me. So I did. I think that's all for my classroom. The rest are actually for me, which I'm okay with. All right. So these are some nonfiction. I picked up Woe Is I Jr., The Young Gramophobe's Guide to Better English in Plain English. And I also got Woe Is I, the adult version, The Gramophobe's Guide to Better English in Plain English by Patricia T. O'Connor. This is Hot Dogs and Hamburgers, Unlocking Life's Potential by Inspiring Literacy at Any Age by Rob Schindler. I thought this might be a good nonfiction to read. In this heartwarming story, author Rob Schindler tells how he offered his time, unflagging energy, and unconventional teaching techniques to help a boy with serious learning differences and adults suffering with low literacy levels. It just seemed like a good nonfiction for me to dig into. So I look forward to reading that. All right. And then this I know I got on the bag sale day. While back, I got the Friday Night Knitting Club, and then I found Knit 2, which is the second one in the series. And this Comfort Food by Kate Jacobs is, I don't know if it's the same series or if it's a different author or a different series, but it was the same. It it was the same author. So I thought I would grab it. I know that it was part of the bag sale, so I was just kind of throwing books in at that point. Anyway, so this continues with where the Friday Night Knitting Club took off. And this one, let's see. A celebrity cook shows her friends and family the joy of fulfillment and manages to spice up her own life at the same time. So those two, these two I know for sure were on the bake sale as well. I went through the Mary Higgins Clark and I picked up Remember Me and Two Little Girls in Blue. I haven't read a ton of Mary Higgins Clark, but I have enjoyed the ones that I have read. She has a tendency to scare me. The Two Little Girls in Blue, it says when Margaret and Steve Frawley come home to Connecticut from a black tie dinner in New York, their 3-year-old twins, Kathy and Kelly, are gone. The police found the babysitter unconscious, and a ransom note from the Pied Piper demands $8 million. Steve's global investment firm puts up the money, but when they go to retrieve the twins, only Kelly is in the car. The dead driver's suicide note says he inadvertently killed Kathy. At the memorial, Kelly tugs Margaret's arm and says, "Mommy, Kathy is very scared of that lady. She wants to come home right now." At first, only Margaret believes that the twins are communicating and that Kathy is still alive. But as Kelly's warnings become increasingly specific and alarming, FBI agents set out on a desperate search. Yeah. I couldn't do that I couldn't read this if I was a parent. Okay. Remember Me says, on tranquil Cape Cod, a young couple tries to escape from the horrors of their past only to become trapped in a nightmare beyond their understanding, beyond their control. Menly Nichols never stopped blaming herself for the accidental death of her 2-year-old son. Her marriage to Adam, a high-profile criminal attorney, has started to fall apart, but the birth of their daughter Hannah promises to revitalize their relationship. Adam decides to rent a house on Cape Cod, a serene haven that's ideal for Menly and Hannah. At Remember House, an 18th century landmark with sinister past, strange incidents force Menly to relive the accident in which she lost her son, and she begins to fear for Hannah's safety. Then Adam takes on a client suspected of murder after his wife drowns in a violent squall, and the family is drawn into a rising tide of terror. It's some delightful word choice. On a dark, rain-swept beach, Adam and Menly will confront their worst fears, leading to a harrowing, suspenseful climax that only Mary Higgins Clark, America's Queen of Suspense, could have created. Sounded good. And then I got some cozy mysteries because, cozy mysteries. I know I got these on the big sale too because I wasn't sure how I would feel about them. These two are a Amish mystery series, Cappy King and the Pickle Caper, and Cappy King and the Puppy Caper. Catherine Cappy King is happy being a plain-spoken, unmarried, odd woman out in her Pennsylvania Amish hometown. Her talent is making the special caps local women use to cover their hair, but her skill at uncovering trouble in this quiet valley is about to be truly tested. I think this might be the first one in the series. This must be the second. I'm not sure though. We'll have to see. Oh, and this is by Amy Lillard. I didn't say that. The first one is The Puppy Caper. So this must be the second one. So I thought, first and second, might as well just grab them both, right? And then I got the #1 Ladies Detective Agency by Alexander McCall Smith. I hear about this all the time. It was a TV show at some point, I think. I don't know. The first novel in Alexander McCall Smith's wildly acclaimed #1 Ladies Detective Agency series tells the story of the delightfully cunning and enormously engaging Precious Ramatsui, who is drawn to her profession to help people with the problems in their lives. Immediately upon setting up shop in the small storefront in Gaborone, she is hired to track down a missing husband, uncover a con man, and follow a wayward daughter. But the case that tugs at her heart and lands her in danger is that of a missing 11-year-old boy who may have been snatched by witch doctors. I don't know. That sounds good. This is, oh, and then this was another series, Dalkynski Mysteries, Death in Dalkynski by Carly Reed, and book 2, Mince Pies and Murders by Carly Reed. So this takes place in a Scottish village. These take place in a Scottish village. I mean, cozy mysteries, right? And then this, my sister read and recommended to me and it's also a cozy mystery. This is Auntie Poldi and the Sicilian Lions by Mario Giordano. On her 60th birthday, Auntie Poldi retires to Sicily, intending to while away the rest of her days with a good wine, a view of the sea, and a few visitors. But Sicily isn't quite the tranquil island she thought it would be. When her handsome young handyman goes missing and is discovered murdered, she can't help but ask questions. So Elizabeth Berg is one of my authors that I like to pick up her books at thrift stores and used book sales when I see it. I met her once and I have really enjoyed a lot of her writing. I've only ever given one of her books less than 4 stars. So this is Open House, and I don't actually know what it's about because the back doesn't say anything. And then this is The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry. This comes highly recommended by the Currently Reading podcast. So when I saw it, I decided to pick it up. This is by Gabrielle Zevin. A.J. Fikry's life is not at all what he expected it to be. He lives alone. His bookstore is experiencing the worst sales in history, and now his prized possession, a rare collection of Poe poems, has been stolen. But when the mysterious package appears at the bookstore, its unexpected arrival gives Fikry the chance to make his life over and see everything anew. I mean, it takes place in a bookstore, and there's a mystery, and I just am totally here for it. And speaking of bookstores, I also picked up Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore by Robin Sloan. I enjoyed Sourdough by Robin Sloan, but the fact that this one takes place in a bookstore is very intriguing to me. The Great Recession has shuffled Clay Janin away from life as a San Francisco web design drone and into the aisles of Mr. Penumbra's 24-hour bookstore. But after a few days on the job, Clay discovers that the store is more curious than either its name or its gnomic owner might suggest. The customers are few and they never seem to buy anything. Instead, they check out large, obscure volumes from strange corners of the store. Suspicious, Clay engineers an analysis of the clientele's behavior, seeking help from his variously talented friends. But when they bring their findings to Mr. Penumbra, they discover the bookstore's secrets extend far beyond its walls. Rendered with irresistible brio and dazzling intelligence, Mr. Penumbra's 24-hour bookstore is exactly what it sounds like, an establishment you have to enter and will never want to leave. When You Read This by Mary Adkins. This says, for 4 years, Iris Macy worked side by side with PR maven Smith Simone, helping clients perfect their brands. But Iris has died, taken by terminal illness at only 33. Adrift without his friend and colleague, Smith is surprised to discover that during Iris's last 6 months, she created a blog filled with sharp, often funny musings on the end of life not quite fulfilled. She also made one final request for Smith to get her post published as a book. With the help of his charmingly eager, if overbearingly forthright new intern, Carl, Smith tackles the task of fulfilling Irish's last wish. It sounds like it's going to be a tearjerker, and it just seems like it has a whole lot of heart. It sounds a lot like P.S. I Love You, which I really loved. I really also loved the movie because it was good. But I loved the book as well. So it seemed very intriguing and worth picking up. And this next one, I read and enjoyed Home Before Dark and a few months ago, and it was largely inspired by The Haunting of Hill House. And I think I'm going a little crazy thinking that I want to read this because I don't know that I do, but it's by Shirley Jackson, and I really like Shirley Jackson's writing. And I really liked Home Before Dark, so I feel like maybe I could like this book, but I also feel like maybe it's too scary. I don't know. Something is at work in Hill House when a group of troubled people come to stay there. They begin to experience things they cannot understand or explain and are forced to confront their darkest fears. The house is gathering its powers, and soon it will choose to make one of them its own. It sounds scary, but I don't know. It could be good. We'll see. The next one I've heard so much about. It is a historical fiction, Lilac Girls by Martha Hall Kelly, based on the real-life story of a New York socialite who championed a group of concentration camp survivors known as the Rabbits. This acclaimed debut novel reveals a story of love, redemption, and terrible secrets that were hidden for decades. Caroline Faraday is a former Broadway actress and liaison to the French consulate whose life is forever changed when Hitler's army invades Poland in September 1939 and then sets its sights on France. An ocean away from Caroline, Kasia Kuzmarek, a Polish teenager, sinks deeper into a role as a courier for the underground resistance movement. In Germany, Herta Aberhauser, a young doctor, answers an ad for a government medical position only to find herself trapped in a male-dominated realm of Nazi secrets and power. The lives of these three women are set on a collision course when the unthinkable happens, and Kasia is set to Ravensbrück, the notorious Nazi concentration camp for women. Their stories cross continents as Caroline and Kasia strive to bring justice to those whom history has forgotten. It just sounds so good. And I've heard so many good things about it. A nice Christmas novel, Let It Snow by Nancy Thayer. I have read some Nancy Thayer in the past, and I do enjoy a good Christmas story, so it seemed like a good pick. Christina Antonioni. Start that over. Christina Antonioni is preparing for the holidays at her Nantucket toy shop, unpacking last-minute shipments and decorating for her loyal Christmas customers. But when her Scrooge of a landlord, Oscar Biddlesman, suddenly raises her rent, it seems nearly impossible for Christina to continue her business. Even so, Christina hopes there's a warm heart underneath Oscar's steely exterior. When she bonds with Wink, his sweet young granddaughter who frequents the shop, it becomes clear that perhaps he isn't so cold after all, and with the help of Wink's uncle, who happens to be a charming and very handsome bachelor, this may be the best Christmas any of them could ever imagine. And then I found another novella by Frederick Bachman. This is The Deal of a Lifetime. And this takes place in Christmas too. It is Christmas Eve, and a father and son are meeting for the first time in years. The father has a story he needs to share before it's too late. As he tells his son about a courageous little girl lying in a hospital bed a few miles away, he reveals even more about himself, his triumphs in business, his failures as a parent, his past regrets, his hopes for the future. And then this one I just got because it's called Dear Amy. And it just seemed like I should get it. So this is Dear Amy by Ellen Callahan. A local schoolgirl has been missing for weeks when Margot Lewis, agony aunt of the Dear Amy advice column, receives a letter. Dear Amy, I've been kidnapped by a strange man. I don't know where I am. Please help me. Bethan Avery. This must be a hoax because Bethan Avery is another young girl who went missing 20 years ago. As more letters arrive, Margot becomes consumed by finding the sender and, unlike the police, convinced that the girls' disappearances are connected. Solving this puzzle could save someone's life, but could it also cost Margot her own? I mean, not bad for picking up a book just because it has my name in the title. Last but not least, I'm so excited to find this. That is Writers and Lovers by Lily King. Blindsided by her mother's sudden death and wrecked by a recent love affair, Casey Peabody has arrived in Cambridge, Massachusetts in the summer of 1997 without a plan. Her mail consists of wedding invitations and final notices from debt collectors. A former child golf prodigy, she now waits tables at Harvard Square and rents a tiny moldy room at the side of a garage where she works on the novel she's been writing for 6 years. At 31, Casey is still clutching onto something nearly all her old friends have let go of, the determination to live a creative life. When she falls for two very different men at the same time, her world fractures even more. Casey's fight to fulfill her ambitions and balance the conflicting demands of art and life is challenged in a way that pushed her to the brink. I have been intrigued by this book since I first heard of it, and so I was really excited to find it at the used book sale. I'm just gonna grab this pile and hold it up. Okay. Have you read any of these books? Are there any that I should put at the top of my priority list for my TBR? I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. Until next time, happy reading.